welcome back. So got Rody back out, got him groomed up a little bit. Today I'm going to do a couple of things that he would need to learn if he was ever injured to a degree that he needed some assistance. Two of the things I'm going to use is just a weight tape and a thermometer, and then I'm going to go ahead and saddle him, and we'll talk about saddle fit in just a minute. And then, of course, his feet are not very good as far as being level, and so that's probably going to be for tomorrow. But anyhow, I'll saddle him. We'll take him to the round pen. We'll play with him in the round pen a little bit, and then bring him back out. So I've noticed with a lot of horses, whenever you drop stuff like this around them, it kind of bothers them. I don't know that he's really gonna mind that this tape is flying by him on the other side. I definitely want to touch him when I do this. I don't want to poke my head under the back feet. I'm just reach under there and grab that thing. So whenever you're measuring for weight, what you want to do is go straight up and down where the heart girth is, no matter where your tape lands on the wither. We're at 68 right there. That's just kind of snug. And then the next thing we're going to do, we'll see how he likes that, no big deal, is we got to measure his length. And his length is going to be straight from the point of the shoulder to the point of the hip. And while you're by yourself, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but I'm just kind of getting a ballpark of where we're at here. He's 59 and a half long. So if you do the math, and you have the computer, you have my phone, so I can't do it. It's length times girth divided by 330, and whatever that ends up being is what they say within 3% of his approximate weight. Now, they also say that you're supposed to use a glass thermometer to check temp, and that's your most accurate temperature. I find that waiting 3 minutes with a glass tube up a horse's butt maybe isn't the smartest thing in the world. I have gone to the digital ones and find them, as long as they have a strong battery, to be fairly accurate across the board and fairly accurate compared to a glass tube. In my first aid classes, one of the things we do is we check a horse both with the glass tube and with a digital thermometer, just to do a comparison. Not trying to say the digital thermometer is not the way to go. I think that especially in different temperatures, different winter, summer environments, you got to make precautions for that, because if it's in the winter, then you've got to keep that glass tube warm. And if it's in the summer, you can't let it sit out in the sun. So it kind of goes both ways here. Now, I don't know. He let me comb out his tail a while ago. I don't know how he's going to react to this. Come on, Peebo, turn around over here. Peebo, pay attention. So we'll see how it goes. Always remember to turn it on before you insert it. Then I'm going to do this way, so that if he does decide to kick back, then he'll kick me in the back of the leg. And then just gently look at where you're going. And whenever you enter in, then you lean it over to one side to make sure, and he's trying to clamp down on it. Swish his tail, 98.8. That's a whole lot faster than doing it the other way. So I think it's especially on a horse that maybe you can't really do all the different things to, digital is definitely the way to go. So hopefully you've already got those measurements. 59 and a half long, 68 in the heart girth, and divide by 330. Remember, it's length times heart girth divided by 330, and that should give you his approximate weight. So he definitely doesn't like the flies, and the fly sprayed him, and he did good with all that. I'm going to make sure that I can touch all the parts of his body. in the ears, in the nose, in the mouth, and just, you know, you don't have to spend tons of time with it, but if you were to do this every day, just as you're walking by and you're just scrubbing him, saying, hey, you're a good boy, I want to get them flies off your eyes. By the way, what's in your mouth right there? Hook your finger in his mouth, rub him under his chest, you know, and pay attention to what's going on with the guy. And then you want to pick up all 4 feet. There again, be careful of your head. I'm watching the back feet, and I'm feeling his body move. And I think I'm going to be able to trim him tomorrow or Tuesday without any trauma, mentally or physically, to either one of us, I hope. There again, just picking him up, handling him, pulling on his tail. There again, being on both sides of him. Remember that horses have one brain like us, but they don't use their brain the same way we do. And so, relax, son. Relax. Relax. Good boy. Good boy. So I let him relax, and when he relaxed, I turned it loose. But they don't think the same way we do, so they can't associate left and right like we do. Like, I mean, we know that most of us are right-handed or left-handed. Horses are the same way. However, sensory, we can understand that if we put a cold compress on our right jaw, if we put a cold compress on our left jaw, we're going to have the same feeling. But with horses, you put a compress here, and then you go to put one over here, they're not going to associate that same feeling. Okay, so you have to train both sides of the horse in order to get a good fluid deal. So here again, this guy is, I've not ever saddled him. I don't know how he's going to be. I do know that he's been ridden. Supposedly somebody's throwing a rope off of him, but it's the first time that I've done it. So again, I'm going to untie him, and I'm going to just put this over my arm for safety in case he decides to leave. In case he decides to leave, you know, I'll let him move back some, but then I'll have 10 or 12 foot to stop him. So I'm just going to push this up here just to see how he reacts to it. No big deal. I can tell by the way that he's acted in the past in our other trainings, somebody has worked with him to a degree. Now, how much of that is yet to be seen. But we're going to find out. Send that up there. Not bouncing it on him, not tossing it on him. You can notice here, he's a short coupled horse. In other words, from his wither to his rump is not very far. So I've changed, there's still a phallus saddle, balance seat, and all that, but it's a little bit different design than my other saddle. A little bit shorter in length, maybe only by 1.5 inches or so, but it's enough to give me this room off of the hip right here, which is my concern with him is whenever I ask him to move out, this pad going into his hip or the saddle going into his hip is going to cause him some distress. I don't want to do that. I want to keep him as calm and quiet as I can. So I do have buckle cushions on order so that this metal buckle won't be against the ribs of the horse. It'll actually be a little bit of fleece there. And so what I'm doing, I'm putting the saddle up there. I'm picking the pad up in the gullet, which is this part of the saddle. I'm just kind of rocking the saddle, kind of let it find its little sweet spot there. This is also a thicker wool pad. The reason I'm using that is because I know that he doesn't have much of a top line. And so if I put my regular working pad on him, that it would be too thin. There again, I'm trying to make this thing fit as good as we can. Looks like this girth cinch is going to be a little long. I'll adjust it on the other side one more time. But before I ride him, I'll probably change it out to a shorter cinch. Today is to see where he's at with the saddle. Taking him to the round pen, letting him hop around a little bit, be a goofball or whatever he wants to do. I typically cinch my saddles up 3 times, 2 or 3 times depending. If it's a horse I ride all the time, maybe just twice. But if it's a new horse, I'm probably going to cinch him up 2 or 3 times because he could be blowed out right now, but like in a little bit of fear mode, not knowing what's going on. So if he's doing that, then my cinch is going to be stretched, right? So I'll cinch him up, I'll walk him around a minute. In this case, walk him up to the round pen. By the time we get there, he should be relaxed enough, or he's bucked the saddle off, one or the other. We'll see when we get up there. But just to cinch it down real hard the very first time, not what I like to do. Not even on a horse that I know really, really well. And I'm dang sure going to check it one more time before I get on. So I'm looking on this side, I got about a hand's width from the top of the buckle to the bottom of the pad. And here I got less than that, so it means I can come up on the other side one more. But you can see how high this is coming up on the ribs. So therefore, I want that buckle, so you got a bunch of nerves and everything else down here on the bottom. You got this little sweet spot right here off the point of the shoulder. That's really where I want the buckle of my cinch, right in here. So this is a 28-inch cinch, so I'm going to have to go to probably a 26 or a 24 to get him adjusted the best way. One of the reasons why it's good to have, you know, women say, well, I can never have enough shoes. Well, I say I can never have enough tack, because I might need a different size cinch. I might need a couple different, I'm cinching that rear cinch up on him a little bit there, touching him in the flanks. But yeah, so that would be another good reason to have different size, different length cinches. He hasn't fussed about any of this. Before we go to the round pen, I'll cinch him up one more time just to make sure it's kind of snug on the way up there. And then once we get up there, I'll move him around a little bit and see where he's at, and we'll kind of go from there. So that's part 1 for today. Guess what? I have a remote.